Hello everyone, this is Season992 and today we're back for the brand new video. Now usually, especially these days, we start the videos off with a joke or a jokey intro Sahan, but instead I'm just going to leave the biggest joke of the day being that second half and sit here and break down the managerless Rangers Football Club dropping more points at Ibrox as it finishes Rangers 2, Dundee United 2. Now I'll be honest with you, where this result would obviously be a big of a shock and maybe annoy us a wee bit more, and I wouldn't be sitting here ranting and raving in previous seasons as this is the bump in the road that did come at home when you've got to be winning all your games. I'm not really there, ladies and gentlemen, because again this isn't a shock and this isn't a surprise to me. Again, we are managerless right now as a football club. That's why I sat in front of you in yesterday's preview absolutely frustrated beyond belief that we haven't got someone in the job yet and we haven't kicked the other two who should have been booted out for this football club the exact same time as Russell Martin was as well. Right, we are failing both off and on the park, so for me to sit here and pretend to be I can't believe we dropped points in big old 2025 would just be me sitting here absolutely lying. And say what you want about me, I didn't do that. So a score draw is probably what you're expecting from this type of game of football. I thought I'd maybe get a cheeky channel favourite in terms of the 2-1, but a certain worldie from my former Falkirk player certainly silenced all that one. But again, I think if we're all being brutally honest, a score draw with a high-flying Dundee United, a team that has scored prior to this weekend the second most amount of goals out of everyone in the league, more than Celtic, chasing only Hearts in the goal-scoring department, and then you've got us, you know, I mean, the football team. We are the way we defend and the way we cannot keep a clean sheet. A team that scores a lot of goals versus a team that concedes a lot of goals. Maybe, just maybe, it was always going to end a draw. But I guess the disappointment comes after what was our best performing 45 minutes of the old season. You actually started to get a flicker, you started to get a wee bit of light. There was a tiny little glimpse of light at the end of that tunnel, and then the second half happened, and then Dundee United started to get rough. Dundee United started to ask a lot of questions, and the second they scored, you know this team goes ahead and blinks. Do you remember in the Mike Tyson documentary we talk about after he's had his walkout and everything, like he's standing in the ring, he would look the players directly in the eye, and if they blinked or if they looked down before they touched gloves, he knew they were getting beat. Well, we always blink / look down after every single goal conceded, because we've built a team that's not strong enough mentally to battle through that. They're fine if things are gone their way, but you just shake that a little bit, you shake the foundations even a touch, troops, and it comes crumbling down each and every single time. And again, a lot of this does roll downhill, and this is what we've went ahead and done, ladies and gentlemen. We are a perfect reflection on the park as we are off the park, and that is a club that is filled with people and players that are absolutely out of their depth and are nowhere near the level required. And again, that goes both ways, on the park and off the park, and I think that's why I've got so much worry and that's why I've got so much frustration. I mean, even during the fever pitch of potential announcing Kevin Muscat, who is again the best managerial candidate we've looked at in 3 years, we should be absolutely up here, and usually I'm at that fever pitch level, but I can't quite get up to that level if Kevin does come up the road, because who's he going to be working side by side with? Who's signing and identifying people? Who's bringing in scouts and heads of recruitment? It's the likes Kevin Farewell with his wee partner in crime Patrick Stewart. These are the ones that are moulding this club and moulding this team. And for me, to steal a line from myself in yesterday's preview video, is that 3 people at this football club have shown each and every single one of us they were nowhere near the level required, that they're miles off it, and they have absolutely failed in the position they've been brought in to be. Now, out of the 3, only one of them saw the consequences of their own failings, and that was Russell Martin, who absolutely deserved to lose his job, a job that he should never have been given in the first place because he was never ever qualified for it. Yet again, the people that hired him gave him what he wanted and went ahead and signed some ridiculous flops from previous clubs and Friends Axe FC, and again are moulding this football club with friends and family. When you're talking about scouts, you're talking about heady recruitment, and you're turning Ibrox Stadium into a family barbecue. They're still here, yet they've received no punishment. They've saw nae consequences. So that's why I struggle to get really excited and see this light at the end of the tunnel. No matter who comes in to the dugout, you can see what they're going to be partnered with, and you can see who they're going to be working with. And all we've seen from them time and time again, signing by signing, staff addition by staff addition, is that they are not fit for purpose. So why on earth are they still here? Because what's supposed to be happening here, ladies? Am I supposed to be sitting here aiming at Stevie Smith and blaming him for no being a good enough manager when he was in the ascendancy to maybe change the game and freshen the game up before the legs started to go in the midfield that then gave Dundee United a platform to get in it? Am I supposed to be sitting here blaming a youth coach for no being a good manager? Ladies and gentlemen, the guys know a manager. He's a freaking youth coach that's been flung into the firing line to try and hold a ship that's absolutely on its way down as straight as possible. I'm not going to sit here and slaughter that guy. You know what I mean? And I'm supposed to sit and look at football players the likes of Jerykl, ladies and gentlemen, who last scored a goal nearly 3 years ago, who was known as being a failed flop at his last club. He had one skid 6-month period in his entire career where he got a decent write-up. Ever since, he's been shocking. He's barely been fit. He's barely played. He's never scored. So I'm supposed to be shocked that our strikers came here and no scored. No, that was clear to everybody. So again, the question is, who's bringing these guys? And why are we spending so much? Why are we spending the likes that we've spent on Jerykl, like Manny Fernandez, whilst we still don't have an actual permanent left back at this football club? Because Jaden is drowning right now, right? He's really, really struggling. And that happens with young players. They go up and they go down, they go up and they get down. And then hopefully, when they find a bit of consistency and settle in terms of their player, that it's closer to be the up rather than the down. But that's when you've actually got to have a football club there and take them out of the firing line and protect these players. But again, Jaden's needing to play nearly every single minute of every single game because there's nobody else. Yet you look at the money we've wasted. We sold 3 left backs in the summer, ladies and gentlemen, pretty much to fund the likes of bringing in Jerykl. What for? Ladies and gentlemen, why? Because he's Kevin's pal. Fair? Because Kevin rates him. Fair? It's absolutely crazy. The more you look and the more you dig in to this team, the way that we're running and operating and looking is an absolute disgrace. But again, none of it is a surprise because this is how we're getting run. This is who's running the football club. This is who's moulding the football club. We are what they are, and that is incompetent. So I feel like that's all I can really say about all that stuff. I will now dive into the individual game and break that down because again, Smith's starting 11 didn't see drastic changes, and I know a lot of people voiced their opinion to me that they wanted to see more of a change or more of a spark. But again, he's in a tough position there. He's been chucked to the wolves. He probably only knew he was going to be in charge of the club a couple of days ago because we have been absolutely fumbling in the dark in terms of this managerial search. So again, he's not going to start ripping things up and drastically change the shape or change this and that. He just tried to give the players an opportunity to show that it wasn't all Martin, and there is football in there. And again, for the first 45 minutes, it was absolutely brilliant. So again, I've not got too many problems with the starting 11. It made sense. Go out there and show people you can play. And again, for the majority of that first half at least, they did. Especially in my opinion, put out something and just showed what they were all about. Rothwell was probably the lesser of the three, but I thought he was linking up the play. I thought he was driving forward. He had a couple shots. He was trying to make things happen. It was nice to see him freed of that sick shackle to sit here beside 2 centre halves and just watch them pass the ball. He was able to be a midfielder. I thought he was on. I like the likes of Ant-Man in the majority of this game of football. As he looked freed again, he's still not got that final product that he had last season, as the guy's been ripped of every void of confidence that he had. But I thought he got better and better the longer that first half went on, and just the way that he played in the first 40 seconds, for instance, he put in more crosses in the first 40 seconds than I've seen him do in 6 weeks at this football club. It was almost like he was reset back to his default settings and just went, oh, I'm a winger, let me go out in the wing and cross the ball. It was quite nice to see that, and maybe there is something in to say that Ant-Man, who has been brought into this football club on transfer deadline day, his 2 best performances is when he was signed and had 0 time to train in this football club or got tell anything by way of what he's needed by Russell Martin. And in the game after Russell Martin is sacked, again, there is a story in there, and there is a statement, but the best statement that was made was Theo Aasgaard, or Tello Aasgaard, I should say. I do apologise about that one. He almost shot me by forgetting his first name, as he finally emerged and looked like a football player, because we actually got to see what he was briefly at Luton, but more importantly what he was at Wigan, and that was a creative attacking player that lives and breathes on shooting the football and trying to score goals. Because I don't know what we've been trying to do. He's always been a facilitator, he's been man marking Callum McGregor, he's been man marking some players in terms of European football, and we've completely shackled him as a player. But he was unleashed, and I thought every little thing Rangers done positively the day all came through Tello Aasgaard, who in my opinion was by far the best Rangers player on the park. Now, I have said all that, I've built that way up, but it does go with the first chance of the game after a couple crosses, after a couple shots blocked by Dundee United players, who again were very, very committed, and they threw their body on the line. It was actually Dundee United, it was Big Dolchek, who we spoke about in yesterday's preview video, running at Tavernier, running at Suter. But to be fair, his shot ends up clipping off the heels of John Suter and rolling just freaking wide, and I thought, that was lucky there. It was one counter-attack, one ball to a fast winger, and we've now got zero pace on that right-hand sided defence of James Henry and Big John Suter. But we survived that scare, and again, that gave us the platform to what was an enjoyable first half. And for the next 15-20 minutes, it was completely the Tello Aasgaard show. You know what I mean? He plays the ball into Bojan. Bojan does a beautiful wee turn off his man, plays it back to Tello, who finds the Gasman, who I think Gasman has to actually cross it in to Bojan and give him something to attack. But we've still no figured out that's a striker that lives on crosses, and he needs those balls in behind. It's like we try to play him like he's a Dessers or a Danilo with his back towards the goal. That's no what it is. You've got to whip it in, but ends up delaying the cross, tries to pick up Tello, but it ends up getting very well defended. The next couple minutes later, again, we win the ball in the middle of the park. This time, I believe it's Joe Rothwell. He plays it to Tello Aasgaard. Aasgaard has a shot that's easily saved by the goalie, but it's a shot on target. We've not seen that in every game so far at Ibrox this season. But moving on from there, we then have a cross coming out from the left-hand side as Gazima drills one in. I'm not really sure how we've no scored, as Cornelius tries a back heel. You've got Suter swinging a fit at it. You've got Bojan trying to get the end of it. It's like pinball, bing, 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 and eventually gets cleared. But again, it was positive. It was attacking. You could see we were building something. That something was a goal. And the way we score is absolutely ridiculous, and would be a goal that should have been good enough to win any game. But then we also saw a world if he Dundee United, which is probably Rangers' luck right now. But before we get there, let's talk about round about the 24th minute. Tello Aasgaard picks up the ball, brilliant touch for a big man, as the old saying goes, beats a player beautifully with a nice wee skill, then drives forward with the ball. It gets in the box, he beats another player, and then he cuts back, beating another one, and he curls it right in the breadbasket. And everybody in Ibrox was shocked. We couldn't believe what we've just seen. Not only is Tello Aasgaard actually a football player, but we've just put one in the breadbasket and scored an absolute screamer. Now, myself personally, I was really, really disappointed and almost disgusted, ladies and gentlemen, because if you scroll back to before he beats the very first man and dares to run forward, John Suter's standing there on the halfway line wide open, ladies and gentlemen, and that should have been where the old ball went. But again, thankfully, we actually play attacking, forward thinking football rather than whatever the hell we were playing previously. And Tello shows us all what he's capable of and what he was known for at Wigan. And again, he was just pulling all the strings in that first half. It was absolute gorgeous attacking, forward football. Maybe that's where Muscat can come in if he does come up the road and elevate this team and take the likes of Tello, take these types of Gazima, take these types of players that have got something to the next level, because that style of play is only going to benefit them, and you saw little glimpses of that today. In the next 15 minutes, again, saw numerous opportunities to kill the game, if I'm honest. We grabbed that second goal and maybe take the stuffing out at Dundee United, you know what I mean? But we just aren't there. Right now, Tello Aasgaard has an absolute phenomenal curling effort that's matched by the goalie. Brilliant big paw on it, clipping it air the bar. You've then got a cross from Raskin into Big Bojan, who gets his header on target, again tipped over by the goalkeeper. It's almost like he's a striker that feeds on service in to the box. Maybe we'll start doing it more than twice a game. But anyway, from there you then had Ant-Man's opportunities to have a couple little nibbles. One of them, he probably should do better for a corner as it sort of drops down, but he volleys it into the ground. Save again by the goalkeeper, and then about 60 seconds later, after Tavernier and Raskin do very well to win the ball back, it then goes to Ant-Man again, whose shot is sort of straight at the goalie disappointingly, but again it's another save, and it was just building and building and building. We just needed to get that setting, but unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, when it really came down to it, the ending quality, the clinical touch, that last bit of quality was just missing on the day, and unfortunately been missing all season. And I know this is a very, very nitpicky thing, and I'm not picking holes in Tavernier, you know what I mean, because thank God for the 34-year-old skipper, you know what I mean, scoring a phenomenal goal to rescue a point in this game of football. But the set pieces are the first thing that needs to be identified and needs to be changed, especially again when you've got the likes of Joe Rothwell. If you're giving everybody a fresh start, that's the guy that created the most shots on target from his corners in the entire championship last season. That's one thing that he's credited for. Can we not give him a corner now and again? I thought our set piece delivery was shocking all day, especially brain-numbingly our tactics to cross it to Suter, who must have a batting average that's significantly worse than even Goldson. Goldson won everything in there and couldn't get none on target. Suter doesn't get none on target because he never wins none. It's painful, but again, that's we nitpicky things. But I just think when I look at the likes of Arsenal, I look at these teams, how many goals they pick up for set pieces. This is the perfect opportunity. When you have 6 corners in the space of 11 minutes of a first half, you've got to get sun on target, but nothing fell down barring that one opportunity. They ended up getting a couple deflection on it before it fell to Ant-Man outside the box. That's the only thing we could offer. But again, I know it's nitpicky, but set pieces need to be drastically improved at this football club. And again, that might be the wee change of offering something a wee bit different when it comes to the taker, and especially where we're aiming it. But again, that was the end in the first half, and the players were cheered off the park. They had that. Everybody was together, probably for the first time since maybe the early Champions League qualifiers, especially with the players would have been here, and it felt like a good moment, you know what I mean? But I didn't get too high, no matter who I was talking to or if I was firing on social media or anything like that. I never got too high on that, ladies and gentlemen, because there's always a worry that this football club can change around there, and it would be easy to say they were dreadful right away, but honestly, the first 10 minutes of that second half felt like it was kick a Rangers player, you know what I mean? Where the first half had so much actual football getting played, the second half just looked like watching a Sunday League game, and every single time there was a potential counter, a bit of play, it was kick. Embarrassingly failed to whistle. Let's no talk about it. So many whistles, so many moments, and I think that if the referee's a bit stronger and gets the yellow cards out a wee bit earlier, it maybe settles the game down. But it was just dreadful football. But I guess you could look at it from the Dundee United perspective. They couldn't get near the ball in the first half, so they had to do something to grab some momentum off, and again knock that confidence to Rangers. And again, it is the dark arts and it is the ugly side of football, but again, that's what they done. They got in the faces, they started asking some uncomfortable questions, they started to put the pressure on, and again, just like that, the team started to crumble as everything wasn't going their way anymore, and unfortunately they shrank in terms of that adversity, and Dundee United just started building back, and unfortunately building back. The first major opportunity was round about the 59th minute, where again Jayden was starting to drown at this point. It gives a really poor ball away in the middle of the park. They end up countering us down that side. They whip a ball into the mix up at Tavernier's there, thankfully in a good defensive position to clear it almost off the line, as though there was going to be a tap in at the back post. He defended son at the back post. That's my James Henry. But again, you couldn't get too excited because it just started to become long ball. Get away. We needed a freshen up, and again, that's when Smith's got to reach into the midfield, maybe barring on for Rothwell, maybe adding a bit more legs in there as Dundee United started to run in the show, started to break the line, started to make opportunities, and you could feel it coming, and the way that it came was certainly a very familiar one. One long ball, ladies and gentlemen. Guess what side it comes down? That's right, Jayden's side, who's absolutely drowning in the game of football. But again, ladies and gentlemen, we've got £3.5 million sitting on the bench barely playing games, and next to a guy we apparently spent up to £8-9 million on, you know, but we've not got a left back at the club. Nah, just a guy that's on loan here for 12 months. Well done, Sport Director, you're doing great at this football club. Ball goes into there. Now, to be fair, it's no like an ugly goal or just being absolutely dreadful. It's a very good goal. They get wide, they play it in. Trapanovsky, I believe, just absolutely pings one. Brilliant goal. Now, there was a potential offside for it, but I imagine after the lengthy check that it was onside, so that is what it is. I don't think you wait that long to then not chop it off unless it is offside. And then it's 1-1 at that point, and you're thinking to yourself, oh no, we know what happens here. Now, to be fair, Smith again tried to rejuvenate, tried to change it up, but again it was a wee bit interesting. He ends up going 2 up top as he took off Gazama and brought in the likes of Chermete, you know what I mean? He tried to make that change. And I know I seemingly seem like a Gazama fanboy and everything like that, but I just think when you take him out of the Rangers team, we lose something absolutely massive. And when you lose the gas man, you bring on Chermete, they're just no anywhere near each other in terms of their impact. They've been able to trust them with the ball and being able to bring the ball and being able to run with the ball. So I thought we absolutely chopped their own knees off at that point, if I'm being brutally honest with you. In the 4-4-2 that we tried with Chermete and Bojan just never really worked because that balance wasn't there. We're getting nothing for the winging position, and it again just allowed Dundee United to create, grow into the game. Now, the actual goal they scored is a worldie. Now, Jack Butland saved 10 seconds before that is also brilliant, as there should be a goal here, but Butland ends up getting on it, but then we're second best in the middle of the park again. We're no reacting quick enough again, and then Craig Sibbald absolutely pearls one with the left ticket as he puts it right in the breadbasket. Phenomenal goal, worldie goal, potential goal of the season type strike if you want. And again, that's the luck to concede that on the half turn with the left peg for that range gone in there. That's what it is to be a Rangers fan right now. But again, when I just look at it, after Butland's made that save, can we not get a bit more reaction to react to the ball, then put a wee bit of pressure on? Does it need to be walking? Does it need to be this sort of jogging motif at this club? Unfortunately, it has been. Until we nail that out of these people and really iron that out, we're going to concede plenty of goals this season, unfortunately, as the defensive appetite, the physical appetite still isn't there in the team. We need somebody big and nasty in the middle of the park that's willing to get stuck in. We need a tone setter. We need a Thompson. We need somebody like that in the middle of the park. And unfortunately, we've just not quite got somebody like that. And I feel like that's what that game needed. When Dundee United was biting back, which is far too nice, man. Do you know what I mean? But aye, worldie for Dundee United, and your head's in your hand, but well, it was a nice first 45 minutes. Did we offer much else after that? Honestly, no, until we scored. Now, the substitution, especially in terms of energy in the middle of the park, finally came about 10 minutes after that, round about the 82nd minute. Again, it is far too late, but it's a youth coach, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, are we supposed to be surprised at that he's not made the right changes in the game of football? You know what I mean? I don't know, maybe I'm being too nice because he is somebody that's completely flung into the firing line. You can let me know, you know what I mean? Maybe it is me being wrong, but the likes of Barron comes on, Curtis comes on, hooray! And then Mikey Moore, and I was interested to see Moore because Moore's obviously got something about the kid, and he was completely wasted under Martin, and the best thing you can say is within 2 minutes of his 5 minutes of his arrival in the game of football, one long ball, we're doing it now, thank God. Play it to Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore's good with his physicality, holds the ball, plays the ball backwards, and James Henry Tavernier steps on again and puts the ball into the back of net. Hate him or loathe him, he always has a say in certain types of way, and it's a brilliant goal, you know what I mean? It's a goal that was badly needed. He knows, again, like, go and get it, let's get it up there, and I liked that mentality. But again, James Henry has gave a lot to this team of the year. He's not quite what he was, yet he still steps up and scores goals. If more people could step up and score goals and have big moments like that, this team would be very, very, very better off. But unfortunately, we're not, as we're still relying on Tavernier to pull this team out of holes. And aye, ladies and gentlemen, it was 2-2 at that point. We did ask a couple questions in terms of balls coming at the mixers, again a couple set pieces, but again it was nearly Dundee United that won it at the end of the game, as they ended up spooning one out the bar where they probably should score in the game of football. Again, the likes of Chermete did come on, as we did mention, but there's nothing to talk about. His first touch is a tackle, you know what I mean? His first touch is to set up a run to try and catch his second touch. It's no looking good. I would love to get on board with this. I really, really would. But it's worrying. It's no his fault that he's been paid that money. Absolutely, it's no his fault. But when you get paid for that money, you need to give son or show son. But again, I'm sitting looking and be like, have we been scammed? Honestly, is Kevin Farrell-Dane's son wrong here and giving son back to his old club? Because I'm just not seeing what on earth we've spent that amount of money for in Scottish football. For what? We're getting back, you know what I mean? And Bojan, I'm a big fan of Bojan, but he needs to do more when he's holding the ball. He needs to start doing more. It's no looking good. Now again, you could make a benefit out as we're not crossing the ball to him, but it just needs to be better than this, than what we're currently freaking seeing. But maybe it's as good as it could possibly be right now, considering the mess off the park and obviously on the park. But I was actually talking that long that my camera just got out. That was the game, that was the set, and that was the match. It was a score draw, ladies and gentlemen, which was probably what everyone was maybe expecting from this game of football, considering the mess in the absolute circus that we are currently entrapped in. But that's it. Let me know your feelings down there in the old comment section below. What stood out to you? What do you think? Do we need somebody in new? Do we need another new interim manager? What's the mess that this club is going to conjure up next? And just how do you fix what's going on? I think there is players with potential in the team. Then there's other players that are continually screaming out that they aren't required. But again, I just think our team's been built really, really poorly. You look at the centre backs, you look at the left back, you look at the right back situation, you look at the centre mid that probably needed a bit more investment in terms of getting somebody with that physicality. We've just not built a good team, you know what I mean? A well-balanced team. And I think every single game just backs that up. But again, the guy that built the team and the guy that spent the money is getting away with it scot-free. So that's a worry to me, and it'll continue to be a worry we talk about right here on the channel until something is done about it, which again has to be the guy getting his jotters. Surely, how much failing can one man do? The guy's brought in more family members than wins at Ibrox this season, but aye, everything is fine. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's my thoughts and opinions. Let me know yours down there in the comments section below. Until I see you, which could be soon, could be later, could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. You just never know. But that's me. Thanks to everyone that has signed up to the channel Legend memberships. We greatly appreciate you. A massive thank you to those that are signing up to the supporter range as well, which is far too kind. And as always, to those that tune in to watch each and every single week to spend a wee bit of their day with me. Sometimes too much, because I do like to talk too much. But thank you to you as well. I'll see you in the next video. All the best and bye.